I can't believe this is happening, Emily Carter whispered, her hand trembling as it hovered over the sleek glass table where her phone lay, the red digits of the time blinking 8:47 p.m. like a countdown. She had just come home from her prenatal appointment, 7 months along, and everything had felt normal until a sudden, jarring sensation in her chest made her heart race and her vision blur for a fleeting second. She leaned against the counter, taking shallow breaths, trying to steady herself while her mind raced through the last few weeks of strange behavior from David Morgan, her husband. She remembered noticing deleted texts and unexplained silences, the way his phone seemed to disappear from sight whenever she walked into a room, and now it all converged into one terrifying realization. He had been erasing messages, the latest one a note meant for Vanessa Gray's party, and she had almost been left in the dark entirely. Emily's fingers found her phone, her thumb hovering over the emergency dial as she felt the fluttering kick of her baby, a small, grounding reminder that she wasn't alone in this moment. The living room lights reflected off the polished hardwood floor, each reflection stretching and twisting like a warning sign as she steadied her trembling hands. She pressed the screen to life, her eyes scanning the notifications with a growing sense of urgency. One glance confirmed what she had feared. David had deleted a critical message that contained the location and timing of the social event organized for Vanessa, the woman he had been seeing behind her back. The words themselves were not visible, but the erasure was enough to make her pulse spike. Her breath caught, and she felt the need to sit, but there was no time. Instinct propelled her to action. Emily tapped the screen, opening the emergency call function, fingers shaking, heart thudding against her ribcage like a drumbeat of warning. She whispered into the quiet room. 911, please. I need help. The phone felt impossibly heavy in her grip, a lifeline tethering her to the outside world as each second stretched longer than the last. She recalled the security cameras she had noticed outside the apartment building, the faint red glow blinking on and off, as if silently watching, recording every moment, a witness to what could happen next. Her mind flickered back to her brother, Jake Carter, a former security specialist, someone she knew could respond quickly if he knew what was happening. Every sound in the apartment, the distant hum of the refrigerator, the soft tick of the clock, the muffled music from a neighbor's apartment, amplified her sense of urgency. Emily pressed the phone closer, her finger finally tapping the screen to confirm the call, and she felt a flicker of determination mixed with fear. Her chest still tight, her legs slightly unsteady, she moved toward the hallway, each step measured, trying not to stumble, not to alert David to her action before help could arrive. The adrenaline surged, and she felt her focus sharpen despite the chaos of her racing thoughts, the potential danger, and the uncertainty of what David's next move might be. She whispered again, a tiny affirmation to herself and her baby. We're going to be okay. As she listened to the faint dial tone, the electronic beeps of the phone as it connected to the dispatcher. Outside, the night pressed against the windows, a quiet contrast to the storm building within her apartment, the tension between what she knew and what she could only anticipate. Emily's pulse slowed slightly with each breath, but her eyes never left the phone, never left the screen, aware that each moment could be critical, that the next few minutes might define everything for her and the little life she carried. Emily Carter gripped her phone tightly, listening to the faint voice of the dispatcher as they repeated her address back to her, confirming that help was on the way. Her legs felt unsteady, the room spinning slightly from the sudden rush of adrenaline and worry, but she forced herself to take measured steps toward the living room, every movement deliberate, careful not to disturb the baby or draw attention. She glanced toward the sleek leather couch where David Morgan had been moments earlier, noting the empty wine glass and the folded invitations for the party, the small details that confirmed her suspicion that he had been planning this event for someone else, someone not her. The hum of the refrigerator, the soft glow of the hallway lights, and the distant traffic outside the window formed a tense background as Emily sat down slowly, pressing the phone to her ear with one hand and resting her other hand on her growing belly, feeling the reassuring kicks that seemed to synchronize with her own heartbeat. She replayed in her mind the past few weeks, the subtle changes in David's behavior, the unexplained absences, the frequent text messages that disappeared before she could read them, and the little excuses that never quite added up. Emily's breathing deepened, each inhale a conscious effort to maintain calm, to stay present, to prepare for the arrival of help. She checked the time on her phone, each second feeling like an eternity, aware that the minutes could determine the course of events, her pulse quickening at the thought of what might have happened if she had delayed even slightly. The soft click of the apartment door locking somewhere in the distance made her tense, reminding her that she was alone, that the choices she made in the next moments were entirely hers. Her eyes scanned the room again, noting the faint reflections of light off the polished surfaces, the subtle shadows that moved as though alive, all details sharpening her awareness. Emily whispered softly, more to herself than to anyone else. "We can do this, we will be all right." And in that moment she felt a surge of resolve that steadied her shaking hands. She pressed the emergency call button, confirming the call with the dispatcher who gave her calm instructions, voice measured, guiding her step by step, and she followed each direction with meticulous attention, moving toward a chair to sit and maintain her balance while keeping the line open. Each instruction felt like a lifeline, each word grounding her in reality, and connecting her to someone who was already mobilizing to intervene. The soft thud of her feet on the hardwood floor, the subtle creak of the hallway, the occasional distant siren in the city, all combined into a symphony of tension and cautious hope. She repeated to herself the exact details, her voice barely audible, describing the party preparations, the deleted messages, the presence of Vanessa Gray in David's plans, ensuring that the dispatcher understood the full scope. Emily's mind raced ahead, considering contingencies, the potential arrival of help, the steps she would take once someone appeared at the door. She focused on her breathing again, counting in slow, steady measures, feeling each kick of her baby as a reminder of why she needed to persevere, why she needed to maintain clarity and calm in the midst of uncertainty. The living room seemed to contract and expand around her, shadows dancing across the walls as if echoing the tension in her chest. But with each exhale she felt more anchored, more prepared, knowing that help was already on its way and that the next few minutes could make all the difference. Emily Carter could hear the faint sound of sirens growing louder in the distance, each wail slicing through the night air and bringing with it a pulse of relief that mingled with her lingering tension. She remained seated in the living room, the soft hum of her phone connecting to the dispatcher providing a rhythm that countered the rapid beating of her own heart. Her eyes scanned the room again, taking in the details she had noticed countless times but never appreciated fully until now, the polished oak floors that reflected the subtle glow of the table lamp, the neatly stacked magazines on the side table, the small vase with fading flowers that had been a gift from her mother months ago. Every object seemed to anchor her to reality, reminding her that she was not alone, that help was coming. Her hand rested lightly on her belly, feeling the steady, gentle kicks, each movement a small reassurance that she needed to remain calm and focused. The dispatcher's voice remained calm, instructing her to stay seated, to keep the line open, and to describe everything in the apartment that could help responders reach her quickly. Emily followed each instruction meticulously, giving clear directions to the front door, the hallway, and the nearby elevator, her words deliberate despite the adrenaline surging through her veins. In the background, the soft city noises provided a strange contrast, a gentle reminder that the world outside continued to move at its own pace even as her own life felt suspended in those critical minutes. She thought about the events that had led to this moment, recalling David Morgan's increasingly distant behavior, the subtle manipulations, the hidden conversations, and the small signs she had tried to dismiss until they became undeniable evidence that something was amiss. Her mind cycled through each memory, not with anger but with clarity, cataloging details that could prove essential when help arrived, each thought reinforcing her determination to remain composed and protect herself and her baby. She adjusted her seating slightly, pressing her back against the couch, feeling the support beneath her while keeping her hand ready over the phone in case she needed to relay new information. Emily could sense her body relaxing incrementally, the sharp edge of panic dulled by the methodical focus that the dispatcher guided her through, each instruction a tether to safety. She glanced at the hallway mirror, catching a glimpse of her own reflection, noting the slight sheen of sweat on her forehead and the careful control in her posture, a testament to the inner resolve she had summoned. The kicks from her baby continued steadily, synchronizing almost with her breathing, a quiet rhythm amidst the tension that reminded her why she could not falter. Emily whispered under her breath, words soft yet firm, affirming her own courage and the presence of the life she carried. "We are going to get through this together." Letting the mantra center her, stabilize her, and prepare her for the arrival of the help she had called for, knowing that in these moments, clarity, patience, and steady action were her greatest allies. Emily Carter's breathing began to find a steadier rhythm as she remained on the phone with the dispatcher, describing every corner of her apartment, the layout of the hallway, and the location of the front door. She noticed how the evening shadows stretched across the walls, shifting with the streetlights outside, and she realized how quiet the building had become, as if holding its breath along with her. Her mind drifted briefly to the moments earlier in the week when David had grown increasingly distracted, leaving small, subtle traces of his plans scattered like breadcrumbs, invitations misplaced, notes half-written, all of which now felt like warnings she had failed to heed until this exact instant. Emily adjusted her seating again, leaning slightly forward on the edge of the couch, her hands still lightly resting on her belly, feeling the reassuring kicks as if the baby understood the tension of the moment. The dispatcher's voice remained calm, guiding her through the steps to ensure her safety, encouraging her to maintain composure and provide clear instructions, and she repeated each step, clarifying the layout and pointing out possible entryways for help to arrive quickly. She thought about her brother, Jake Carter, remembering how he had always been vigilant, protective, and reliable, someone who would respond without hesitation to any sign of trouble, and she felt a flicker of confidence knowing he would be en route. Her eyes drifted to the window, catching the reflection of her own anxious expression, the soft light illuminating the contours of her face, her hair slightly mussed from running her hands through it as she had tried to calm herself, and she recognized the determination shining through the worry. The apartment felt suspended in time, the usual ambient sounds muted, leaving her hyper-aware of every detail, the small ticking of the clock, the faint hum of the heating system, the distant murmur of traffic, all mixing into a rhythm that marked the passage of critical moments. Emily's thoughts cycled through possible scenarios, planning her responses, rehearsing how she would explain the situation to anyone who arrived, knowing that clarity and precision could make all the difference. She took a slow, deliberate breath, inhaling the subtle scent of the living room, the faint aroma of the candles on the side table, and exhaling the tension coiled tightly in her shoulders. Each breath, each conscious step of thought, grounded her as she stayed connected to the dispatcher, describing her position, her observations, and any potential obstacles in the apartment that could slow assistance. Emily's pulse gradually aligned with the rhythm of her focus, the kicks from her baby serving as gentle reminders of the stakes, each movement of life inside her reinforcing the need for patience, clarity, and careful action. She whispered to herself, a quiet mantra, steady and intentional. "We are ready, we are prepared, we are safe." Feeling the words anchor her mind and bolster her courage as she waited for the arrival of support, knowing that each passing second brought her closer to the moment when she would no longer be alone in managing the situation, and when the careful instructions she followed now would allow the next steps to unfold with control and calmness. Emily Carter felt a subtle shift in the air as she listened to the dispatcher, the calm guidance helping her channel focus into every controlled movement. She adjusted her seating on the edge of the couch, noting the way the soft carpet pressed beneath her feet and the slight creak of the floorboards with each subtle motion, grounding her in the present. Her eyes flicked to the table where her phone rested, screen still active, displaying the call in progress, each pulse of light on the device a reminder that she was not alone, that someone was mobilizing to reach her. The faint hum of the city outside provided a muted backdrop, a contrast to the heightened awareness that filled the apartment, each sound amplified in her mind as she catalogued every detail, the open curtains, the glint of streetlights reflecting against the polished surfaces, the small stack of magazines on the side table, all forming a mental map she could convey to those responding to her call. Emily felt the familiar rhythm of her baby's kicks, a comforting pattern amid the tension, reminding her to remain steady, to focus on each breath, slow and deliberate, filling her lungs completely before releasing in controlled exhale. Her thoughts moved to the events of the previous days, recalling the pattern of small omissions and deleted texts, the subtle evasions that had hinted at David Morgan's attention directed elsewhere, each memory sharpening her understanding of the present moment and the potential need for swift, clear communication. She shifted slightly, pressing her back against the couch for support while keeping one hand lightly on her belly and the other on the phone, ready to relay new information as it arose, describing each object in the room and its placement, the positions of doors, furniture, and lighting, ensuring that any responder would have a clear understanding before arriving. Emily's heartbeat gradually aligned with the measured cadence of her breathing, each inhale and exhale forming a rhythm that helped steady her mind, each kick from the baby reinforcing her focus. She whispered softly to herself, a quiet affirmation. "We are prepared, we are strong, we are calm." Letting the words settle in her mind, anchoring her in resolve. Her gaze lingered on the hallway, noting the subtle changes in shadows as the city lights shifted, every detail recorded, every sound noted, aware that the dispatcher's guidance and her own meticulous observation were creating a bridge of preparedness, ensuring that when help arrived, she would be ready to act with clarity and confidence. Each moment passed with tension tempered by control, Emily listening attentively, speaking precisely, and maintaining steady awareness, the room becoming a space of careful observation and intentional patience, her thoughts organized, her body aligned, and her senses tuned to the subtle cues that might indicate the arrival of assistance or changes in the environment that required immediate attention. Emily Carter heard the soft thud of footsteps in the hallway and a familiar, steady voice calling her name, and a rush of relief surged through her chest. She recognized the tone immediately, calm yet authoritative, a voice that had always been there to guide and protect her in times of uncertainty. Jake Carter, her older brother, was finally at the door, and she felt her body relax just slightly, though she remained cautious, still gripping the phone and keeping one hand lightly on her belly. Jake moved with deliberate steps, scanning the apartment as he entered, noting every detail from the open curtains to the arrangement of furniture, his eyes sharp and alert, trained to assess and respond to any situation efficiently. Emily explained in measured words what had happened over the past few minutes, recounting the deleted message, the party plans, and the concern for her safety, each sentence delivered with clarity and focus. Jake listened attentively, nodding, taking mental notes, and asking precise questions to confirm the details that would allow him to act quickly and effectively. The soft glow from the table lamp illuminated his features, highlighting the determination in his eyes and the subtle tension in his jaw, and Emily felt reassured that she was in capable hands. She described the layout of the apartment, the locations of potential exits, and any obstacles that might slow response, her voice calm despite the lingering anxiety, each detail helping Jake prepare for immediate action. Outside, the faint hum of the city continued, a steady background that contrasted with the heightened awareness inside the apartment, each sound amplified by Emily's focus as she monitored the space around her. She felt the baby kick again, a steady, reassuring rhythm that encouraged her to maintain composure and listen closely to Jake's instructions. He moved methodically through the room, checking the doors, windows, and hallway, confirming that each path was secure and ready for any required steps. Emily remained seated, following his directions, adjusting her position as needed to remain stable and comfortable, while continuing to keep one hand on the phone to maintain communication with the dispatcher. Her attention remained sharp, noting every subtle shift in the lighting, every reflection in the polished surfaces, each one providing additional information that could be useful in ensuring her safety. Jake's presence brought a sense of controlled order to the apartment, his movements precise and deliberate, his voice steady as he reassured Emily, giving her instructions that were clear and actionable, and she followed each one with careful attention. The combined rhythm of her breathing, the steady kicks from the baby, and Jake's measured guidance created a focused environment, where tension and preparedness merged into a sense of readiness. Emily whispered quietly to herself, a mantra of resilience and patience, reinforcing her resolve and allowing her to remain fully engaged in the present moment, knowing that each passing second brought her closer to complete safety and clarity, with Jake coordinating and overseeing every step to ensure that the situation remained under control and that she and her baby were fully protected. Emily Carter watched as Jake moved toward the front door with careful precision, each step deliberate, his eyes scanning the hallway and the entryway for any irregularities while maintaining constant communication with the dispatcher. She felt a sense of relief, tempered by alertness, as she observed how methodically he assessed every detail, the angle of the door, the locks, the lighting, and the small objects that could impede movement. Emily's hands rested lightly on her belly, feeling the steady kicks that seemed to synchronize with her racing heartbeat, reminding her to remain focused and controlled. She recounted the sequence of events again, articulating each step David Morgan had taken over the past week to manipulate the situation, every erased message, every subtle distraction, and every small lie that had pointed toward the planned gathering, describing the nuances to Jake so that he could anticipate any complications and ensure her safety. The ambient noise of the city filtered in through the windows, a soft contrast to the heightened awareness in the apartment, each honk and distant siren providing a temporal marker as minutes passed. Emily adjusted her seating to a more comfortable position while maintaining balance, keeping her phone pressed gently to her ear, relaying observations and following Jake's instructions without hesitation. The soft glow of the hallway lights reflected on the polished surfaces around her, casting elongated shadows that moved subtly with the shifting perspective, and she noted each one, aware that this awareness could inform Jake's approach and help prevent any unforeseen complications. Her mind returned briefly to Vanessa Gray, imagining her presence at the planned event, the careful arrangement of details that had almost gone unnoticed, and Emily felt a surge of resolve, understanding that knowledge and vigilance were her most powerful allies in this moment. She repeated to herself the exact positions of furniture, the location of the side table with magazines, the angle of the couch, and the direction of the windows, creating a mental map that complemented Jake's physical assessment. The dispatcher's voice remained a calm counterpoint, reinforcing instructions and providing procedural guidance while Emily focused on her breathing, long, measured inhales and exhales that helped regulate her pulse and maintain clarity. Each kick from the baby served as a reminder of the stakes, a rhythmic signal that required her full attention and composure. Emily whispered softly under her breath, affirming her preparedness and resolve. "We are steady, we are ready, we are aware," letting the mantra anchor her in the present moment as Jake continued to move through the space, coordinating the safe entry and verifying the environment, ensuring that when the next steps unfolded, she would be fully supported and prepared for every eventuality. The apartment, once filled with tension and uncertainty, began to feel more controlled, the combination of Emily's meticulous observation, Jake's calculated movements, and the dispatcher's guidance transforming the space into one of readiness and deliberate action, a sanctuary of focused awareness where every decision was informed, precise, and protective of both Emily and her unborn child. The apartment door opened gently, and the soft click of the lock engaging signaled the arrival of additional support, and Emily Carter felt a wave of reassurance wash over her as she recognized the familiar presence of uniformed responders entering the space with careful attention to her safety. Jake Carter guided them quietly, giving precise directions about the layout, the location of the phone, and Emily's current position on the couch, ensuring that everyone moving through the apartment was aware of the environment and potential obstacles. Emily remained seated, her hand resting lightly on her belly, feeling the baby's steady kicks as a comforting rhythm amidst the heightened awareness and activity around her. She described to the responders everything she had observed, the deleted messages, the planned gathering, the suspicious interactions, providing clarity that would allow them to verify the situation and act decisively. The dispatcher's voice remained in her ear, calm and supportive, guiding her through what to say and when to relay information, reinforcing the sense of control she had maintained throughout the night. Outside, the soft glow of the city lights reflected through the window, casting long shadows that moved with the responders as they made their way through the apartment, the interplay of light and motion creating a surreal sense of heightened perception for Emily as she observed each step, each careful motion, noting how efficiently and professionally everyone coordinated. She felt the tension in her chest ease slightly, the combination of support from her brother, the dispatchers, and the arriving responders creating a network of assurance that allowed her to focus on breathing steadily and remaining composed. Her thoughts traced back over the past few weeks, the subtle signals she had noticed, the erased messages and unusual behavior, now providing context for the present, allowing her to understand the situation fully and communicate effectively with those assisting her. Emily's gaze shifted to the windows, noting the reflections of moving shadows and flickering lights, each detail carefully integrated into the mental map she had created for the responders, ensuring that any intervention would be swift and accurate. She felt the baby shift slightly, a gentle reminder of the life she carried and the importance of maintaining calm, awareness, and deliberate action. Her whispered affirmations, "We are safe, we are steady, we are aware," became a grounding mantra as the responders continued their methodical assessment, moving through the apartment with care, following Jake's instructions, and verifying every corner. Emily's mind remained alert, her senses tuned to each sound, each movement, each light and shadow, fully engaged in the process of coordinated safety and verification, aware that the convergence of her observations, her brother's expertise, and the responders' professionalism was creating a controlled environment where she and her baby were fully protected, and where the careful actions taken in these moments would ensure clarity, security, and resolution. Emily Carter finally allowed herself to sink deeper into the couch, feeling the tension in her shoulders slowly unwind as the last responders confirmed that the situation was fully assessed and secure. The soft hum of the apartment returned to a gentle background rhythm, punctuated only by the distant city sounds, the faint buzz of streetlights outside, and the occasional reassuring words from Jake Carter as he checked her comfort and verified that every detail had been accounted for. She placed a hand over her belly, feeling the steady, gentle movements of her baby, each kick a reminder of the resilience and life she carried, a silent affirmation that she had maintained control and awareness throughout the entire ordeal. Emily's eyes wandered across the living room, noting the quiet stillness that now contrasted sharply with the heightened alertness from moments before, the polished hardwood reflecting the soft lamp glow and the delicate shadows it cast across the walls. She breathed in deeply, slow and deliberate, letting each exhale carry away the remaining tension, focusing on the sense of calm that was slowly settling over the apartment. Her mind revisited the sequence of events, tracing the erased messages, the suspicious plans, and the careful observation that had allowed her to recognize the signs before they escalated beyond control, understanding how each decision and action had contributed to the safe resolution. Emily's gaze shifted toward the hallway and the front door, where Jake and the responders had methodically checked and confirmed that every entry point was secure, appreciating the precision and professionalism that had turned the apartment into a controlled environment where she and her baby were fully protected. The dispatcher's voice on the phone faded to a final confirmation, leaving Emily with a sense of closure and accomplishment, realizing that she had maintained composure, provided crucial information, and remained vigilant when it mattered most. She allowed herself to focus fully on the present, feeling the rhythmic kicking of her baby in harmony with her measured breaths, each movement reinforcing a sense of empowerment and reassurance. Emily's whispered affirmation, "We are safe, we are strong, we are together," echoed softly in the quiet room, blending with the faint urban sounds outside and the gentle ambient lighting, creating a serene moment of reflection and resilience. The apartment, once filled with tension and uncertainty, now felt like a space of restored calm and security, a place where careful observation, patience, and deliberate action had ensured safety.